Do you believe that you can heal yourself? Too often we give our power away to something outside of ourselves, and rarely, if ever, trust and tap into our innate healing power and intuition. Everyone has this capability to heal in ways we never thought possible. It's your sovereign right to claim and have true health and lasting wellness. Now, here is the host of the Dr. Dolores Show, Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Dr. Dolores Show. I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. And, we are among the holiday season right now in our time period. And for many of us, like myself, who are empaths, intuitives, and highly sensitive people, this could be a real oh no, it's the holidays. What am I going to do? How am I going to handle this? So I decided that it would probably be fun for the next several weeks to do a segment on the Empath's Holiday Haven. And what we're going to do is just focus on those things that are really near and dear and important to us. A lot of times, we look for authenticity and genuineness and being real in a world where there is little but that and a lot of chaos and noise. So, what's one to do when you're just really sensitive to things and you feel things at a deep level? So, we're going to be focusing on just talking about being an empath, intuitive, and highly sensitive person and how that kind of goes into play when you have big holidays coming up or big events, you know, globally or even individually, those parties you need to go to, those family events. Maybe, another time and place, there's weddings and festivities that are or family reunions. It's like, or just even going out into big party settings, with groups of people. Sometimes that's just like stimulation overwhelm. I don't know about you, but it's like sometimes you just need to you know, leave so you could just, be with yourself and regroup and reground yourself. Does that sound familiar? Thought it did. But anyway, today what we're going to do is just dive into, some of the things that people like ourselves are and some of the things that we can do and maybe even shift into different you know ideas or traditions to set at the holiday season. So just diving into this, if you're an empath, intuitive, or highly sensitive person, you probably have a tendency to feel things at a very deep level. Or if you don't even know if you are, some of the things that I think are really paramount and important to realize is like take a personal inventory. Do you really feel things deeply? Do you seem to sense when something is not quite right, but you can't put your finger on it? Or do you have those situations where sometimes you feel as if, oh my God, what the heck is going on? I feel so overwhelmed by all these feelings that I'm experiencing. Even though you're not feeling that, you sense that, and sometimes you have a tendency to take these on as your own and make them your own when in essence they're not. So if those are some of the things that you experience, I'm going to just tell you that you're not alone here because there's many more of us like this than you could imagine. And when you're able to tap into this and realize what this is where you begin to thrive instead of just surviving. So, another thing to add to this, you may also be what we call an empath. An empath feels things very deeply. You also may be intuitive, which I feel all this stuff goes hand in hand with being intuitive. And it's also, when we're able to just really be more aware of who we are and embracing that with, embracing who you are with self-love, self-compassion, self-appreciation, it's a game changer, because a lot of times, we're like maneuvering through our life without a reference point as to what this is, and we're kind of moving through things and experiencing things. And what I'm going to tell you is that, there are people like you out there more so now than ever. um, I'm one of them. I'm a great resource for people. A lot of people are waking up right now. We're in a world where there's just a lot of stuff happening. I mean, let's face it, on a global level, we are witnessing many, many things, wars and changes in the way businesses are run, in healthcare. I mean, I could speak healthcare because that's my niche, and I witness this firsthand because I still am, in that world as a nurse practitioner. So it's just really interesting just to witness everything that's happening externally. And when you take that a step further and move it internally, we're all going through individual things right now ourselves. Okay. And I know that's hard for a lot of people to wrap their mind around, because they're, especially with this next thing I'm going to share, is that what you are and what you witness and how you respond to that, there's a correlation. Okay. So your inner barometer is going to tell you things about what you're being triggered by, what you're experiencing, to probably take a deep breath instead of being in react mode, be more responsive, and just take a step inside and say, why is that so? Why is this affecting me so much? Because this is where we're going to learn how to discern. Discernment is a big piece of people who are empaths, intuitives, and highly sensitive people, because we don't know where we stop and somebody else begins sometimes, but that's on an unconscious level. Once you are aware of that, then you could make the right choices and the steps for you. So it's about being self aware in addition to being intuitive. And I know that they probably never taught you that. And you probably were born into households where you were probably well, let's say you were the interesting one in the family. Maybe you were a little odd. Maybe you were just labeled too sensitive. But I strongly feel that many of us are strategically placed in our family units to teach a bigger picture to our other family members as to the importance of being sensitive and tapping into that, because we've had a society for so long where, number one, you're not allowed to feel. That's like the empath, intuitives, and highly sensitive persons, you know counterintuitive thing to what we do. You're not allowed to feel, number one, or you are judged, you're being judged, criticized, and persecuted for who you are, which that's we're in a big transition with that in our universe. So it's about really looking within ourselves and to see how we can move forward to have more peace, tapping into our inner wisdom and discernment, and just living our lives as the sovereign beings that you were created to live here on the earth. So I know I kind of rambled on a bunch of stuff about what's kind of happening on a bigger picture, but the thing is, the essence is that what I want to drive home is that it all starts with us first. Okay. What we do has the capability to shifting and changing everything in our outer world. Okay. Just visualize this, collective consciousness is this huge body of water. Okay. And each individual, inclusive of ourselves, are this little drop. Whenever you drop a drop into water, it ripples out. So guess what? That little drop affects that whole body of water. Okay. So what we put into collective consciousness, okay, is what our personal experiences are. So if you had some negative experiences where you're really angry and you're hateful, you're spewing all this stuff, guess what? Guess what? That little drop of hatred goes into collective consciousness and it ripples out and it affects the whole body of water. We all contribute to collective consciousness by our thoughts, beliefs, and ideas. So it's really about coming back to self and taking a personal inventory. How are you showing up, not only for yourself, but for other people? And how are you empowering and showing up for other people around you? It could be your neighbors, it could be the state, it could be your country, it could be the global world. How are you showing up? Are you projecting out, dropping those little drops of love, peace, harmony, because that's who you are, into that pot? Or are you doing the victim mentality, the blame, the shaming, the whatever that is, into collective consciousness? Because guess what? It affects everything. Remember, energy is everything, and everything is energy. Your thoughts, your beliefs, how you show up in the world are energy. That you might not be able to visibly see it. Maybe you could sense it if you're, a highly sensitive person, you could feel energy. But this is energy, and this is what drives collective consciousness. So I invite you right now to just take a deep breath, because I know I just unloaded a lot of stuff for you to wrap your mind around and wrap your heart around as well too. But I think it's so important that we look at ourselves, because it really starts with us first. And it takes a level of self-awareness. And I know people who are listening are those people, that they're awake or waking up, and they're aware that life isn't working for them the way it used to be. And I might have to make some changes. So, how do we move forward? Well, we're going to be talking about that when we come back from our break. But what I want to say is this: being an empath, intuitive, and highly sensitive person is not a bad thing. It's actually an awesome thing. And I'll tell you why. Because once you're able to come to terms with who you are, embrace who you are, love and appreciate who you are stepping into your own personal power. And when you step into your personal power, this is where the true authenticity and genuineness comes through. You are able to speak your mind without fear of being persecuted, judged, or criticized, because it really doesn't matter. That is other people's stuff that's being projected onto you. You will also be able to feel things when things aren't quite right. Your discernment and your ability I'm going to say, the bullshit meter, for lack of a better word. It's like you will be able to discern when something is really real or something is just totally off. Okay. And it's about dialing that in so well that no matter what is going on around you, and it could be like the storms of life, the chaos, the worldly stuff, and also maybe in your household there's some contrast and variations of what's going on. You will be able to step within yourself and just be at peace no matter what is going on around you. Okay. It's about stepping into a different timeline. And this is where we're at right now. We are in several different timelines, and it's a conscious effort to decide where you want to be living your life. Okay. So stay tuned, because we're going to talk more about the Empath's Holiday Haven, and we're going to talk more about highly sensitive people, empaths, and intuitives, and what we can do during the holiday season to make it on our terms and to have a different approach to things. It's called the game changer. So you've been listening to the Dr. Dolores Show. I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and we're on the Inspired Choices Network. And when we return, we'll talk more. See you when we get back.
Do you trust your instincts? Many of us don't. Yet this is the key to connecting to your innate healer within and your intuition. Tune in to the Dr. Dolores Show with nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer, Dr. Dolores Fazzino, to receive insights and tools to realign with your inner wisdom for lasting health and true wellness. Listen for the Dr. Dolores Show, Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email become a host at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Dr. Dolores Show with Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also send an email to Dolores at drdoloresfazzino.com. Now, back to the program.
Well, welcome back, everybody. You're listening to the Dr. Dolores Show on Inspired Choices Network, and I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. And on our last segment, we're talking about the Empaths Holiday Haven. We were just talking about being an empath, intuitive, and highly sensitive person, and what a gift that is once you're able to embrace that, love and appreciate that for what it is, and just be totally comfortable wearing that outfit, because that is truly who you are. And it's about no longer hiding in the closet. It's just allowing yourself to be your true, authentic self in all its glory. So, as we carry on in this segment, we're going to talk about why the holiday seasons, or anything that has a lot to do with festivities and stuff like that, it's just a real trigger sometimes for us highly sensitive people, empaths and intuitives. And I'm just going to read something for you here. It says here, the holiday season can be particularly challenging for empaths, intuitives, and highly sensitive people due to various reasons. And some of the common challenges and suggestions on how to navigate through them are the following. So, first of all, overstimulation. Oh my God. Sometimes it's like, I call it the energy shit show. Oh my God, it's like energy's flying all over the place. And it's just like sometimes when you are an empath, intuitive, and highly sensitive person, it could be completely overwhelming. Like going to the shopping mall. I know we don't do that too much of that these days because you could get everything online. That's like an empath, intuitive, and highly sensitive person's dream. It's like, I don't have to leave the house to go anywhere to get into anything. I could just stay home and go online and do this. Yay! But you know what? There's a balance. You need to, blend that in, but it's about doing it on your terms. So the challenge sometimes with the overstimulation is not only like going shopping, it's like holiday parties, social gatherings, and it just leads to like way too much energy just flying around. And, sometimes it's very challenging if your boundaries are not strong because it could suck the life out of you. It's like you end up, going to this party, you're on overwhelm, you're overstimulated, you come home and you're just exhausting. So, or exhausted rather. So the most important thing is that if you choose to go to an event for, say, something, make sure that you absolutely want to do it. Okay, because there's nothing worse than you wanting, you do things out of obligation, guilt, or whatever thing that is, to really, lean in and, is this something you really want to do? Or you're like, wishy-washy about it. I invite you, if you're not like 100% in, do yourself a favor, don't do it. Because I think your intuition is kind of talking to you a little bit, and it may be better suited for you to do some type of self-care type activity to, have quiet time so you could, recharge your batteries, so to say, especially if you have a tendency to leak your batteries or your energy out to other people. And that's a whole nother conversation about boundaries. And we're going to talk more about that in another segment, or actually another episode of this 4-part series that the Empaths Holiday Haven is all about. So, what is another important thing is like, why people get overstimulated. It's overstimulated, sometimes emotional energy drain. It's like, for those reasons about the overstimulation, if your boundaries are not really firm, the challenge could be that you're absorbing the emotions of others, especially if they are stressed, anxious, or overwhelmed during the holidays. And I have news for you. It's not just during the holidays, it's anytime. It could be holidays, it could be at work, it could be at home, it could be anywhere in life. When things are emotionally draining, it just has a tendency to suck the life out of you. I just remember one time, growing up, I grew up I'm a child of the 60s and 70s, and my grandmother was still alive at that time. And my grandmother, was this woman who, I loved her to death. She was very sensitive. She's also an empath and intuitive. Yet it was like whenever you went to visit her, it was almost as if after you left, you were so exhausted because emotionally what she was doing, and I don't think she was aware of it, but she would um, tap into you and be an energy vampire. So we all have people in our lives that have a tendency to do that. They could be friends, they could be associates, they could be family members. It's just being aware of that. Of course, at that time, I wasn't really aware about what was really going on. So I just noticed that my father was the same way too when he visited his mother, my grandmother, that he would leave and he was just really kind of down and just, the life sucked out of him. And of course, my grandmother was pepped up and she was all happy. So she got her fill. She hooked in her gas hose and just siphoned off our energy, felt better, and we were drained. So it was kind of interesting to witness that. But, at the same time, not really knowing what that was at that time, but now knowing after the fact, that's what was going on. And so, so it's about really being clear with your boundaries and being mindful uh, of those things, because a lot of times that's the unconscious stuff that kind of runs the show that we're not aware of, but it's there because it's energy. Okay. It's like, the invisible coming to the visible. Once you have the awareness that this is happening, it becomes visible or aware instead of unconscious or invisible. So it's always a good thing to take that into consideration. So, like how you maneuver through emotional, energy drains is just set boundaries, learn to say no when needed, and prioritize your activities that bring joy and fulfillment. Do things that are going to raise your vibration, so it's going to make you feel happy and joyful. Create personal space to process emotions without taking on the energy of others. Okay. And believe me, we're in a state of affairs in our world globally, but also I know personally people are going through many things right now. There could be deaths, there could be, you know, transitions, endings of things, beginnings of things. It's like there's a lot going on energetically, especially with, the time we're changing timelines. You could either stay stuck in an old paradigm or you're going to move to another one. And they're going to be parallel. But the thing is, it's like it's your choice whether you step on the line and go to this side or on the line and go to that side. So we do have choices. And, when you're aware of that, you could make the right choice for yourself. Let's talk about expectations and perfectionism. Anybody perfectionists out there? Yep, that's my MO. It's just like, yeah, being everything has to be perfect. If you're one of those people, I so can relate to you because yeah, because the perfectionism, you think everything's got to be perfect, but the cosmic joke is that you're perfect within yourself, number one. There's nothing to prove to anybody. And number two is that, you know, who made up that thing about being perfect? It's just like, where did that come from? Who made that rule up that everything had to be perfect? But it was a way to control our situation and to, I want to say, keep disappointment and, maybe guilt and shame at bay instead of really taking a deeper dive and seeing why you feel the way you do, when you say no or when you feel guilty that you're not doing enough and it has to be perfect. Maybe it's, needing attention from a family member or a parent that you maybe didn't get. And maybe it's time to look at that and see what's really driving that and just come to the realization. And sometimes all that needs for that to heal is just to pretty much label it and make it be aware of it versus it being an unconscious thing. Um, oh yeah, my favorite one out of all of these challenges is family dynamics. So this is pretty funny. I'm going to share this funny story because probably about 11 years ago, around this time is like the anniversary of my father's passing is coming up. And, anybody going through the grief of the loss of a family member or loved one, my condolences to you at this time. It's not easy stuff. And it's like a rite of passage, I'm pretty sure, because everybody's going to experience that. But for some odd reason, those type of situations bring out the not so pleasant stuff in people. And if people, for an example, are control fiends, you can really tell when they're totally out of control because they just crank it up a few notches and they're really controlling. So I was flying cross country back from the West Coast to the East Coast where I grew up. I'm in California. My home of origin is Connecticut. And so I was trying to figure out what I could do in order to lighten it up a little bit because this was kind of heavy duty and everybody was kind of out of control. So I decided that a lot of times projection is what is going on. When people are trying to be perfect and they're out of control, they're just projecting a lot of their stuff onto the environment and everybody else or anybody else who will take it on as their own. So I call this the projection project. And so what projection is, it's like the energetic vomiting of people's thoughts, beliefs, whatever, onto other people. So I said, how appropriate. There was these, um, vomiting bags or throw up bags on the plane. So I collected a bunch of them and I just called this the projection project. So when I went to the wake of my father, I handed these out and I had instructions on the front. And I said, this is called the projection project because, if you have anything not nice to say, I invite you to project it into the bag, close it up, leave it at the door, and please, on your way out, take it with you. It was hilarious because half of my family got it and the other half didn't. But to make a long story short, it allowed us to nip that in the bud and not have it taint the event that was going on. So it's kind of a big joke, but it's the truth. And when we look at family dynamics, and that's just an example, it's about setting boundaries and just making sure that you're going to celebrate if traditional family gatherings are too overwhelming, how you're going to celebrate. Maybe it's time to change things and change it up a bit and create some new traditions and maybe just, have a smaller gathering or just connect with the people who you're aligned with. So, we talked a little bit about some of the challenges of being an empath, intuitive, and highly sensitive people, and some of the things that you could do to maneuver through that. When we return in our next episode or next segment, we're going to be talking more of that and how you could assist yourself to possibly look at things in a different way and even create something different for yourself as well. So you're listening to the Dr. Dolores Show. I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino on Inspired Choices Network. And we are listening, I am actually talking about the Empaths Holiday Haven. So when we return from our break, we'll talk some more. See you in a bit.
Do you trust your instincts? Many of us don't. Yet this is the key to connecting to your innate healer within and your intuition. Tune in to the Dr. Dolores Show with nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer, Dr. Dolores Fazzino, to receive insights and tools to realign with your inner wisdom for lasting health and true wellness. Listen for the Dr. Dolores Show, Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is the Dr. Dolores Show with Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also send an email to Dolores at drdoloresfazzino.com. Now, back to the program.
Well, welcome back, everybody. You're listening to the Dr. Dolores Show, and we're in our holiday season. So we're doing the Empaths Holiday Haven. It's a 4-part series, and this is part 1. But before our break, we were talking about some of the challenges that empaths, intuitives, and highly sensitive people have during the holiday season and how we could maneuver through that with a lot more ease and grace. So before our break, we were talking about, family and, family dynamics, but also we were talking about overstimulation, energy draining, and the like. And we're going to talk about now commercialization of the holidays. I think one of the challenges is that the holidays are such consumer driven that it takes a lot away from the true essence of what the holiday season is. And if you could, I know here in the United States, that's where I'm from, it was like the stuff was out in June, and I'm like, are you kidding me? What? It's like, no, thank you. But it's like, it's such a driven industry that, now it's December and the Valentine's Day stuff is out too. And I'm like, we've just got to stop. So I feel that because I think it's kind of crazy. So what is really important is to maneuver through this whole commercialization that we witness, and it's kind of accelerated and really emphasized. It's almost like the fear of missing out, FOMO, if I don't do this now, I'm not going to get this or whatever. Anyway, focus on the personal and meaningful aspects of the holidays. If there's things that you like to do, that are aligned with your heart, listen to that, because those are the important things that are going to resonate with you. Engage in activities that align with your values, such as volunteering or creating handmade gifts. I mean, I love handmade gifts. There's something about the thought that goes into that, the mindful activity that goes into that when people sit down and do something for you. It's almost like being able to receive that with a lot of grace and honor and appreciation. For some people too, the holidays are a period of loneliness and isolation. Um, you know, even though there's a lot going on around some people, sometimes they still feel like they're alone and isolated. Um, so how do you maneuver through that? Reach out to supportive friends in like-minded communities. We are in an era of establishing community. We're finding that that is so important, and it's like finding your tribe, and this is your family that you choose consciously. Okay, yes, we choose our families, but it's more on an unconscious level because this is all done before we're born. But the thing is, we get a dose of amnesia, so we're into, you know, we're strategically placed into our families. We've consciously chosen our families as well. It's just that we go unconscious once we're born, and we are, learning our lessons through our family of origin as part of our lessons and our education here on planet Earth to get our PhD in being human. That's I joke about that, but I feel that's strongly true. So, decide to do things and do things that are aligning with your interests. Practice self-compassion. And, if you need some support, just definitely seek out support, professional support if you need that as well. And, one of the other things is sensory sensitivity. Sometimes the challenge is sensitivity to lights, sounds, and smells might be heightened during the holiday season. Well, let's put it this way. There's a lot of smells. You go into the stores, you smell the essence of, baked cookies, or, you're someplace where you smell meals being prepared, or a lot of the candles have, like, the sense of, pine and spice cider. It's like those things could trigger memories and bring you back to another time and place. So, and sometimes we're just sensitive to smells. It's just like, I wouldn't say it's an allergy, but it's just like sometimes, we develop like upper respiratory stuff or whatever. Maybe it is an allergy or sensitivity, but it's just to be aware of that. And it's about um, choosing the events and the environments carefully, wear comfortable clothing, and bring sensory items if needed, and communicate your sensitivities to people around you. I'm very thankful that people are very aware of, the perfumes that people used to wear, because sometimes it's just like you would think that they dip themselves in a vat of it, because the essence of it was just like you could smell them coming down the hall, and you're like, oh my God. It's just like, it's kind of overwhelming. For me, it is too, because sometimes you get a headache from that as well. Just remember that self-awareness and self-care are crucial during the holiday seasons, and take some time to understand your needs and prioritize your activities that contribute positively to you and your well-being. And if challenges persist, seek support from friends, family, or mental health professionals, or anybody who could be of support for that too. So, it's I find it interesting too that um, the other things, it's like once you're an empath, intuitive, and highly sensitive person, it's almost like you really have to. I find that I just tap into self a lot. I think that's important. And for me, it's like I listen to my intuition almost all the time, because if it's a feel thing for me, it's not about thinking who's going to be there or whatever. It's just like, okay, do I feel like I want to do this? If it's like, I'm not really sure. It's usually I put it on the shelf for later, and maybe revisit it. Maybe I'll feel different a different day. But it's just like sometimes it's a feel thing for me. Well, I wouldn't say sometimes, I'm going to say all the times it's a feel thing for me. Because if I'm not feeling it, I'm not aligned with it. Um, when you're able to tap into your higher self and your intuition, it's like you're being guided to where your next steps are. Not every event is you're not supposed to attend every event. I mean, I think we have been primed in our society that We have this fear of missing out. And I mentioned that earlier, FOMO, FOMO, fear of missing out. Because, my belief is, and I invite you to play with this, is like everything you need is in your energy field. Okay. Not every opportunity is for you. This is where your discernment comes in, where you make, and your free will, where you make the choices that are right and aligned with you. And let's take that a step further. Aligned with you energetically may mean, they are where you need to go next. And, it might be your intuition saying, I think you might want to go to the coffee shop instead of going to this party. And you're like, well, why? Well, maybe there's somebody at the coffee shop that you're just going to run into, serendipitously, and they may have another piece to your party, your puzzle rather. But if you went to that party, you would have missed that thing. So the thing is, it's like when you're able to discern or follow your leads that you're getting, or those hunches, those usually are those are the gold nuggets that your higher self is leading you to. Your wisdom, your inner wisdom, and your ability to choose that for yourself is where the gold is. Instead of being distracted by something that's outside of yourself. So let's just flip the switch a little bit for empaths, intuitives, and highly sensitive person. So once again, just remember, set boundaries. You may want to set up create a quiet retreat where you could, this time of the year, it's just, I think of coziness, getting a nice blanket. If you have a fireplace, lighting a fire, drinking, hot tea or mulled cider, just relishing that. And if you do put up a tree or any type of other holiday decorations, just enjoying that. Sometimes just the quiet with your lights off and the tree lights on is just spectacular, and just really feel what that essence is. Practice mindfulness, incorporate mindfulness and relaxation techniques into your routine. Remember to deep breathe, because sometimes we forget, especially if we get on overwhelm. We're like, breathe. You need to aerate your body and bring more oxygen in so you could be in your body. Meditation and, yoga or any type of activity that's going to bring you into your body is also a good thing too. And just center yourself. So you could just be in the present moment. And I know for some people that's a real challenge, because they're like, I don't know how to get out of my head. And, it's just so hard to, be in my body. And it's just like, well, it's a practice. And oftentimes people don't have a reference point for that. So I'm going to share one thing. I do have a free meditation on my website. It's called Being in the Present Moment. When you first pop onto the website, it'll pop up. I invite you to go to that, download it for yourself. It's free. It's a 5 to 7 minute meditation that's going to allow you to get into your physical body so you could be in the present moment. Because when you're in your physical body, you're right here, right now. And that also assists with stopping that monkey mind chatter that distracts us from being in the present moment and in your body right here, right now. So just go to my website and download that, because I think this will be very helpful, especially at this time of the year and any time of the year, but to get you more centered and grounded so you could be in the present moment and just be fully present, so you could be giving your presence to others. What a present for Christmas. Anyway, so just remember, mindful activities and just being in the present moment is all we really have. So, and from being in the present moment, we get to create from this place. And we have the capability, when we're in the present moment, to heal the past, but also create the future. So that's something to ponder as we take another break and finish up this segment. So you're listening to the Dr. Dolores Show, and we're talking about the Empath's Haven, Holiday Haven. And when we return, we're going to talk more about some of the things that you can do to assist you to maneuver through this real joyous time of the year. So take take five, and we'll be back soon.
Do you trust your instincts? Many of us don't. Yet this is the key to connecting to your innate healer within and your intuition. Tune in to the Dr. Dolores Show with nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer, Dr. Dolores Fazzino, to receive insights and tools to realign with your inner wisdom for lasting health and true wellness. Listen for the Dr. Dolores Show, Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. This is the Dr. Dolores Show with Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also send an email to Dolores at drdoloresfazzino.com. Now, back to the program.
Well, welcome back. We're on our last segment of the episode, Empath's Holiday Haven. Sorry, like sidebar. And we were talking about, being an empath, intuitive, and highly sensitive person, and how we can maneuver through the holidays with a lot more ease and grace. And we kind of talked about on the previous segments about what an empath, intuitive, and highly sensitive person is, and some of the things, some of the challenges that we may come across as being wired the way we are. But most importantly, as we go into our last segment here, we're going to talk more about some new traditions maybe that we could create that might be more of an empowerment for us as well, especially if the old traditions are not working for us, or there's just too much history and baggage with that keeps us in a different vibration than where we want to be. So, what are your thoughts about creating, for the holidays, a gratitude jar? So every time, when your family members and friends come, they can contribute throughout the holiday season what they're grateful for. And maybe, invite them to do something on a daily basis. And then, write down the things that you're grateful for and read them together on a designated day, which I think is pretty cool. Maybe Christmas Eve or Christmas Eve day, or even, the day after Christmas, which, a lot of times it's like I call it the letdown of the holidays. It's just like, oh, it's over. Or sometimes you're feeling like, oh, I wish it wasn't over. This would be a perfect thing to do. Share a gratitude jar. Also, do something about, maybe making ornaments or something. I think that's the coolest thing. And I think it's a lost art because I think people just are into the convenience of going shopping and just buying something instead of just sitting down and just really being aware. And just think of it from this aspect. It's really a mindful activity, making ornaments. So it's a great way to channel some of that energy so you could be in the present moment as well. Random acts of kindness day, just do random acts. One day just decide that I'm just going to be doing, maybe helping a neighbor or donating to a local charity or writing heartfelt notes to friends. That's a lost art in itself, just writing notes to people. People really appreciate that. And I'm hoping that we're going to have a renaissance with that as well. Storytelling. Take time, it's like host a storytelling night. It could be that week between the holidays, between Christmas and New Year's maybe, or even before, or at a holiday party. That's what you do, is sharing your favorite holiday memories or traditions. And this can create a sense of connection and nostalgia. And if you have friends that do different things, the cultural exchange of different ways people do things. I mean, I was raised in a Polish and Italian household, so there were different traditions that we shared, that were, unique to the culture that we were raised in. So it's kind of cool to incorporate those into that. So, next week we're going to be talking about more Empath's Holiday Haven, but we're going to talk more about authentic connection. And so I'm just going to read here about next week's episode so you guys could have an idea what's to come here. In this episode, we continue on our second episode of a series on the Empath's Holiday Haven, where we delve into the vital importance of authentic connection during the holiday season. Authentic connection is not just a buzzword, it's a powerful way to enhance your holiday experience. We share stories, insights, and practical advice on how to establish genuine, heartwarming connections with loved ones and friends, offering you the tools to foster deeper, authentic connections. So tune in to create meaningful moments and nurturing relationships during this festive season, ensuring that the holiday spirit is truly about authentic connection. So, authentic connection, it's about, we hear the buzzwords being real, transparent, genuine, which are great values. Those are who we are. The transparency, being able to be real. I call it speaking from your heart and operating from your heart. It's about being able to be comfortable enough and know that when you speak from your heart, you will always say the right thing. Sometimes in some of the most challenging, relationships where I've had to have a difficult conversation or a not so pleasant conversation, I would do my best to, take a time out so I could organize what was going on with me, what I was feeling, and then just step into your heart space. When you step into your heart space, it's almost like you're channeling information. Yeah, you could analyze it in your head and pop out of that, but I invite you just to speak from your heart, literally. Allow what you got to say just come through your heart, and you will always say the right thing. And you will say it in a way that's kind, loving, appreciative, and with boundaries. Because you're being your true, authentic self, and you're allowing that to resonate through your heart space and with your words and your actions. Just something to ponder there. But, just to recap today, some of the important things to remember: set boundaries. It's okay to say no and mean it. It's okay to say yes and mean it. Create quiet space for yourself. Practice mindfulness and grounding techniques. Limit stimuli, okay? And prioritize your self-care because you are worth it. And if you don't put yourself first and do these things for yourself, newsflash, nobody else is going to do it for you. So it's a great way to step into your power by walking your talk, leading by example, but also showing up for yourself, especially during this holiday season. What a great gift to give to yourself. The presence of your presence. So anyway, you are listening to the Dr. Dolores Show. I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. And just be kind to yourself, love yourself, appreciate yourself, because you are worth it. See you next week. And until then, happy holidays to you and yours. And may you have everything that you need and beyond for an amazing holiday season. See you next week.
Thank you for listening to the Dr. Dolores Show. Dr. Dolores returns Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. Until then, remember to be kind to yourself and create your best life. You are worth it.